Outtakes Movie Podcast, where we're still going on a quest to go through. No, we're not. It's a bit of a spooky special, courtesy of Amelia. I feel like you pulled a fast one on us this time, telling us this is kind of a movie. It's absolutely not a movie.
If you watch
whatever.
it all in one, it feels like a movie in parts. But yeah, I guess technically it would be.
No. Regardless, I'll let it slide because it was a lot of fun. I'll do the introductions as normal. Amelia, how are you doing?
I've been naughty. I'm good. I'm very
Joe, what's going on?
Not bad, not bad.
And Jake, actually, should we do like, you know, the Simpsons do like spooky names? Janky Jacob, I don't know.
Am I the only one to get a spooky name?
Well,
Come
I'll be
on.
Skeleton Sam, I don't know.
Spooky Sam.
Jeepers Joe.
Jeepers
and
Joe. Is there any spooky things that...
Beginning with an A.
Yeah.
Surely.
I mean, I did kind of fuck up maybe asshole Hendrix, asshole Amelia. There you go. That'll do. Amelia. I genuinely can't think of anything spooky that begins with an A.
Let us know.
In the comments below.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are covering Over the Garden Wall, which premiered on Cartoon Network in... Oh, here's another weird thing. What, this aired after Halloween. For why, though? For why?
Which makes no sense, does it?
This aired for the first time on the 3rd of November and finished airing on the 7th of November of 2014. So we're going to look back into the world of pop culture and see what was going on. I've got lots of stuff from the pop charts. None of it's spooky. Although the first one, really fucking weird. So at number 36, Let It Go is in the chart. The Frozen had been out for a year. A full year at this point.
Wow.
I forgot how much that dominated the charts, though. Like,
It is still in the top 40, as is number 33, Happy by Pharrell Williams, which also came out in 2013. And then we're on to some actual 2014 songs. So Chandelier by Sia, which drives me crackers because she says chandelier, and I hate it. Why do you do this to me, Sia? Number 18, Anaconda by Nicki Minaj.
oh, God. This is so 2014.
A song I unironically love. I'm not gonna lie. I love that song so much. It's so good. There's, like, Jacob, you're shaking your head at me. There is a part in the song where she openly cackles at you for, like, getting annoyed.
I've never listened to intently. It's just a bit where she just laughs.
Yeah,
and it's
would recommend. It's good.
horrific.
It's good. Number 4, Bang Bang, by It's Jesse and Ari, something Ferrari. And number 2, oh God, I forgot about this one. All About That Bass, Meghan Trainor. That actually does make me sad.
Man.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that song was that old.
Yeah.
I thought that was like...
Meghan Trainor's been around a while now.
Oh my God.
As has number 1, Thinking Out Loud, Ed Sheeran. 2014, innit? 2014 through 2016. Of course, he's going to be
I don't know. Which one's that one? I don't even know that one.
Thinking out loud. That one.
Nope. It's the one where your legs don't work like they used to before.
Oh, yeah.
There we are.
I know
God.
that singular part of the song. I don't know the rest of it, though. I couldn't have told you that's what the song... I couldn't have told you that song is the word that bit came from, so, you know.
What an opening line to a song. I just realised.
I've already forgot the name of it, so...
Nice. Good job.
No.
In the world of video games... Ooh, Joe, this is fun. On the 4th, so I've picked a bunch of things from the 4th. I was trying to find things from in between the release and start dates. All the big releases just ended up being on one day. On the 4th, BioShock Infinite Complete Edition came out. So that's the one with Burial at Sea with the Rapture stuff in.
Yeah.
So that's pretty rad. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Evil Kevin Spacey. That's that one. Oh, that's also
real life Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, real life Kevin Spacey. It is also maybe better remembered for Press F to pay respects. That's where we got that absolutely iconic meme from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Brilliant.
The Binding of Isaac Rebirth came out, as did The Wolf Among Us. Similarly, the cinema was also stacked in November. Well, it was stacked full of high-profile releases. Whether or not you consider these of any quality, well, we'll see.
Oh,
so,
good God.
I've not put any release dates. This is just spread out across November. Penguins of Madagascar,
Oh wow.
The movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hunger
Forgot that
Games
had a movie.
Mockingjay.
Which
Sure.
part?
Mockingjay. Is that the 2-part one? I don't know.
Yeah, because it's Hunger Games and it's Catching Fire, and then Mockingjay is the one with 2 parts.
The one
Yeah.
with thingy Katniss in. I don't know. American Sniper
really
also
knows
came
it.
out. The Gerard Butler movie. I think that's Gerard Butler. As did The Theory of Everything. Dumb and Dumber 2. Not Dumb and Dumber 2.
gosh.
Dumb and Dumber because they hate me. Horrible Bosses 2. Interstellar came out, as did possibly the best movie of the month, Paddington. That's the one I chose to watch at the cinema.
That's a good film. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So the thing we're covering today did not come out at the cinema because, again, it's not a movie. You have tricked us all, Amelia, over the garden wall. Tell us all about it.
I'm sorry, I've had to make up for the heinous crime that happened last week of Space Jam in October. I had to make up for this heinous. We have a whole month to be spooky spook, you know, and we're kind of getting in there, alien.
And you're telling me those CGI men weren't spooky spook? Like,
I
They
mean,
gave me nightmares, so they're pretty scary.
maybe it does count then. Well, over here we're getting all spook. I've got my Munchkin pumpkins here to give us some Halloween vibes. So for those of you listening on the podcast, I'm holding 2 very tiny little pumpkins. Just get on my vibe. Anyway. So yeah, over
That's
the
not a
garden wall.
euphemism either.
Or am I? So yes, over the garden wall, like I say. So I'm going to open up this show with, like I say, we're going to kind of keep to the same style that we have done the kind of past couple of weeks, past couple of episodes. I'm going to really kind of keep talking about the show's plot and narrative, really, really small, and kind of just explore, you know, what we thought of it and interesting facts and stuff. So I feel like Elijah Wood has said the perfect way to describe this show. If this show were a record, it would be played on a phonograph. And I feel like that it just that explains the aesthetic in this. As Jacob said when he first saw
agree with
this,
that.
this is pretty much me in a program. And I'm sure after you watch this, you were like, Jesus heckin' Christ, this girl needs to get a life. This is what her life is based on, is this show. But I'm going to shock you enough, and I'm going to tell you, I only watched this for the first time, I think, maybe last year or the year before. So I'm still really new to this as much as you guys are, to be fair. And I was blown away by it, because think about it, 2014, I was only 15 when this came out, and I don't know what, like I say, what situation was with it airing in England. I don't know if it had the similar release to the Americans. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, neither am I.
But with the releases, basically, they showed the first. So obviously, it was created by a guy called Patrick McHale, who was part of that same kind of ring and group of creative friends who did. So Pendleton Ward, who created Adventure Time, he worked closely with him on Adventure Time, which was quite cool. He's also friends with Alex Hish, or I think that's how you say his name, who created Gravity Falls. And then obviously the same guys, you guys can tell me the name, the guys who created Rick and Morty, they're all part of
Justin Roiland.
Him.
Yeah, Harmon.
They're basically this big group of friends who kind of all have a similar taste in animation, and they make good stuff. I'm sure you guys would agree.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So the story with this is actually kind of, like I say, I'm going to tell you a bit of background about it because I'm going to try and keep this really interesting. But the concept for this show actually started back all the way in 2004, which is crazy. So Patrick McHale kind of came up with the idea for it. But like I say, as you guys, Sam and Dre will know, you come up with ideas all the time as writers, and you know whether or not it gets down on paper and whether or not it becomes a thing is a completely different beast. But yeah, so he came up with this back in 2004, and nothing kind of happened with it. And Patrick McHale ended up going on to The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, which is another cartoon program on Cartoon Network, and it's crazy if you get a chance to kind of check that out. The art style's kind of cool. So he started off as a storyboard artist on that. He then moved up to write with Pendleton Ward on Adventure Time, and Cartoon Network kind of were like, look, do you want to make something? And he had a pilot which he attempted to kind of show people for Over the Garden Wall, but back then it was called Tomb of the Unknown. The whole, I think it's about 10 minutes long. The whole thing is actually on Cartoon Network's YouTube, like right now. So I'd 100% recommend you watching it once you've seen Over the Garden Wall, because it's so different. Like, the story's kind of cute. What's he called? Colin Dean and Elijah Wood reprised their roles as Wirt and Greg. So they kind of they were cast originally, which is quite cool. It's a little bit different, but it's still the same kind of vibe. I'll let you guys watch it because it's quite interesting. But it's really interesting to know as well that Patrick McHale actually went to CalArts, so the institute in California, where like Tim Burton, John Lasseter, and all these like incredibly famous people came from. But
it's
like
just a star-making machine, isn't it? Basically,
literally, yeah. This is the thing. Like, so I just kind of want to put it out to you guys. Like, how does it feel knowing that something like this is kind of taken from about 2004, a pitch which essentially no one wanted, to then getting offered a pitch? Like, especially you guys as writers, like, what are your thoughts on this whole idea of like taking that long? And
it does not shock me in the slightest.
No.
I think it's the most common thing I hear from writers is that this new hit show has lingered in a drawer for a decade because no one wanted it.
Yeah.
And then one person took a gamble on it and suddenly, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it does not shock me.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it, to be fair? It makes you think how many like things out there aren't kind of...
It's weird because it feels like the industry never really learns. It feels like this is the story of almost every single thing that gains like a really creative... Well, no, creative is the right word, but like I guess passionate is the better word. Following, and something that can be watched and rewatched and becomes a bit cult. It seems to be the way that it all goes. And basically what I'm saying is Hollywood, you're stupid, and you should trust creatives more because
take more risks.
Exactly, 100%, because it pays off like basically 100 times out of 100. You know.
I also think as well, these people don't seem to get their shot until they've kind of been recognised or created something before. So like you say, like Patrick McHale had to like kind of work his way up in animation for them to be like, oh yeah, you're actually really good, like actually come repitch that, we want to see it again. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that Hollywood and TV and like these industries, they need to start bringing in new talent, not just because we're all starting, but like also because like come on. But yeah, so like I say, Tomb of the Unknown is out there, so definitely go and give that a watch if you kind of want to see what that's about. Originally, the idea for the story, which was very much changed when they kind of started work on this one, the kind of summary for it was it would still follow Wirt and Greg, but he was called Walter. And after signing themselves into a deal with the devil named Old Scratch, they would journey across the land of the in-between and track down pages from the Book of Forgotten Stories, and that's kind of what each episode would be about. But they kind of just scrapped that idea and kind of reworked it. When they were in talks with Cartoon Network, it was actually going to possibly be a Halloween special. Haha. So they didn't know what they were going to do with it. Then they were like, we'll do 18 episodes, and then because of budget restraints, they kind of had to down to 10 episodes. But I'm sure you guys will agree that actually any more than 10 would probably be too much.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
Do you guys feel like, because obviously like you say, if you watch them all in one, it is about an hour and a half to like kind of hour and 40, but like, do you feel like when you got to the end of that, you were like, yeah, that was a good enough length, or were you kind of like, oh, they could have added more?
I mean, I feel like if they had more, they would have, it would have kind of like limited, because I mean, a lot of the individual things were kind of like really creative, so I feel like if they had more of those, it wouldn't have got like samey as it went on, because it still would have been only like, an extra 8 episodes, but they would have had to spend more time working on all the different things rather than putting more time into each individual idea. So maybe the ideas that we have wouldn't have been as interesting as they actually are. But
No, I
That's
totally
basically
agree
what I
with
was
you.
going to say.
Tight is the way I described the show. In fact, there was only one part of it towards the end that I'd say I didn't like, and I didn't like it. Like I aggressively was like, this was the wrong call. But yeah, like the rest of it is extremely tight, and it feels like all the changes you mentioned were for the betterment of the show. So like removing the pages aspects is this weird quest. Get rid of that bollocks, because the narrative of these boys trying to get home and ending up in all these wonderful whimsical locations and never knowing where you're going to be every week, that's way more compelling, I think.
No, 100%, definitely. So I've got some facts at the back, like, and references and hidden things to kind of talk through at the end. I'm gonna, like I say, do the quickest run through and kind of have a chit chat about just the show itself. So obviously the first episode is kind of like the pilot. It's only 10 minutes long, so it's quite short. And like I say, what do you guys think when you were going into this? Did you kind of think, like you say, we all thought it was going to be a movie, but obviously each episode is only about. It ranges from, I think, 10 to 20 minutes each. I think that's kind of like the bracket they fit into. Did you feel like that was enough time to tell a little tale and then move on to the next one? Or did you feel like, actually, I think they all should have been about half an hour?
I mean, I thought they were going to be like maybe like 4 episodes and they were going to be like half an hour each. I didn't expect it to be 10 episodes. When I thought it was 10 episodes, like, Christ, this is going to be long. Then, I mean... You said they're like 10 to 20 minutes each. I don't know if I've watched like the wrong ones. All of mine were like 11 minutes
All
long.
of mine were 10 as well, yeah.
Oh, maybe then. Maybe.
Oh, right, good. I've watched the right one. It's good. It's fine.
Sorry, go on, Joe.
Like, no, I was going to say, like, I think... I like that it's like the short episodes, though, because it splits it up. Like, the chapters feel like chapters, whereas if it was like 4 chapters of 20 to 30 minutes long, it wouldn't have had that kind of... Because it kind of does feel like a tale rather than just a thing, like an enclosed kind of like, it's almost like you're reading a book.
Yeah, I was just
about to say, the short chapters, the short kind of episodes make it feel more like a book. You've got like each chapter. It's good.
There's I think there's a part of me that's like, because I watched a lot of Adventure Time growing up, so I'm very used to the like really condensed style of storytelling within this. I mean, it's not usually done in this style. I mean, like, Adventure Time has, like, not serious episodes, but, you know, like, big story moment episodes. It's mostly just for comedy. But what it means is there's no filler at all. It's all substance, you know? And I think in terms of being able to consume something and consume something quickly and consume something of value, it's ticking literally all the boxes. Like, I think one of the big problems with, like, big kind of, we'll call it like golden age TV now. This is your big hit shows. This is your Game of Thrones and your Witches and your like all this and Breaking Bad. Is that when every show has to be an hour long, there is definitely some times where you can feel like did this need a full hour? You've put it's a full hour because you want 4 ad breaks. You know.
Yeah, we had that with The Walking Dead. Good God.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead's really bad for it.
Yeah. We used to, it'd be like, oh, this is a dud episode, just like skip past it and we go on to the next one. Like, it was bad.
I was just say, season 2 of The Walking Dead, like, you've got maybe 2-3 episodes worth of content in it, and the rest of it's filler. And it's why it's probably the worst series. Because they tried to expand it out as much as they could, but just crap. And it's just, like, they take something that's in the comics for maybe 4 issues, and turned it into a whole 20, I can't remember how many episodes it was. What was it, like 16 episodes? Something stupid. They tried to like extend it out so much and just, yeah. I mean, I remember... the worst for it.
No, go on, Jacob.
Was season 2 the farm season?
Well, yeah, in the comics, they're only at the farm for like 4 issues or something. It's like 1/2 of a time. At the very most, I'd say 6 issues they're at the farm. That doesn't need a whole series. That needs, at the very least, if you really want to push it, half a series. It was irritating. They did a similar thing with the prison as well.
It's weird because it's a problem that I see extend to like even more like with like syndicated with like network television. I understand it happens because of the adverts, but one of the most frequent complaints that came out about the Marvel Netflix shows, one that I happen to share as well, was, oh, this always feels like it's 3 episodes too long. You've always got like a little bit near the end that's just plodding about, and it's a streaming service. There's really no need for that. You know, I would rather it be tighter and just more controlled. I think this is better.
Yeah, that's why we like this. So yeah, episode 1's really, really short, and it essentially kind of, like I said, my notes are really condensed. Just introduces everything. You learn that there's the Beast out there, and there's the Woodsman who's a little bit creepy, and you're not sure if you can trust him. The Woodsman is, of course, voiced by Christopher Lloyd, who's obviously known for Back to the Future, etc. And like I said, Elijah Wood and Colin Dean are Wirt and Greg. Colin Dean kind of hasn't really gone on to do anything else by the looks of it. He's done some voices in Hotel Transylvania, but from what I could see, he's not really done a lot else.
Isn't he like 12 or something?
Yeah, he was young. Like, if you listen to the original, like I said, The Tomb of the Unknown, he sounds young in that. So then to hear him in this, you're like, oh my god, like, yeah, they were young. Like, and then, yeah, they basically have to fight off this really large, scary dog who they think is the Beast. But they, like, it's like, there's so many things, like you say, where something will be done and hinted at to show something in the future. So, obviously, there's the candy, which the dog is eating, and then he eats the turtle, which is... There's a whole theory that those turtles are linked to the Beast and they kind of do the bidding and all this, and it's a whole thing. There's so much theory around this, and there are some amazing videos out there, and that's why I'm not going to sit here and spout it, because there's amazing videos out there to go and have a watch. And then, yeah, they're kind of sent on their way, kind of being a bit kind of weary of the woodsman. And then we have episode 2, Hard Times at the Huskin Bee, which is my favourite episode. I'm sure you can tell why. So they turn up to the town of Pottsfield, and they kind of get in trouble, and they're a bit kind of freaked out. It's a little bit culty, and they're kind of like, what's going on here? And they're having to do all these tasks. It's not too bad. And Beatrice the bird is kind of like, I'm not doing any of this with you, like, what the fuck? And they're kind of like, it's so good. They're like digging, and they're like, we're digging our own graves and all this, and they're like really like terrified. And then you get this real twist of these skeletons are being dug up, and it kind of makes sense because, like, just before you've had one of the pumpkin ladies saying to work, oh, you're a bit early, aren't you? Because he's not dead. He shouldn't be there. This is where you come when you die. I want to go there when I die. Although I do think, considering they're all skeletons, you've got to fully decompose before you come back, which is a little bit grim.
I loved that episode had, I think, my favourite line in the whole show in it, which was something along the lines of, like, you all join us eventually, or something like that, right at the end.
Yes.
Really
so
good.
you've got that giant pumpkin guy with all of, like, the kind of things coming down, and you think he's really evil. And it's such a good line, like, oh, don't worry, you'll join us someday. And it's true. It kind of, like you say, for a kid's, technically what's on a kid's channel and a, like, Cartoon Network and all this, it's pretty, like, we'll get to an episode later which is genuinely quite scary for a kid, I think, personally. And basically when they were making the show, they kind of, for all the episodes that were quite scary, they had to kind of balance it out with ones that are a little bit fun and lighthearted, which you can probably kind of tell which ones are which. And so, yeah, at the end of that one, they decide to go off and they're going to find a woman called Adelaide, who Beatrice says will, like, you know, send them on their way home. Quick fun fact, Huskin Bee is actually a thing. It's a party where you all go and you basically husk corn. That's a thing.
Husk?
Husk
what do you mean,
corn.
Husk? What do you I don't know what that is.
So pretend this
husk.
is your corn.
Right.
And, you know, and you peel off all of the, like leaves that kind of form the thing.
Right.
That's called a husk. So basically you have to husk it off and you take it off. It's a whole thing. So a husking
people have
bee,
parties where you do
back
this.
in the day and all this, they used to have a husking
Fucking
bee.
lame.
You've got to do it anyway. They may as well get pissed. And do it. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get pissed and shuck some corn. Why not?
Yeah, why not? You know what I mean? Better ways to pass. Yeah.
So episode 3 is definitely one of those kind of filler episodes in the sense of it's a little bit more lighthearted. It's called Schooltown Follies, and basically they find a school with Miss Langtry, who is very much missing her lover. We get the amazing song Potatoes and Molasses. Like you say, there's some really good music in this. And it's just the best. I will sing Potatoes and Molasses quite regularly. And they find out that Jimmy Brown has gone missing, her lover, and he's not returned. But in the actual, so all of this music is on Spotify for anyone who does want to listen to the songs. But in her Lamet, or whatever they're called, she's going through the alphabet and it's all depressing. But in it, you learn that he's actually only been missing for 4 days. So he's not been back for 4 days, and she's already stressing out, like, which I find hilarious. And also, Miss Langtry is actually supposed to be somewhat of a reference to Beatrix Potter because she's in Victorian fashion, and that's one thing you'll find out throughout the whole list when you watch it, is that the eras are all over the place, and it's kind of this perfect autumn almost of all these kind of tropes and things that would make the perfect autumn. But yeah, so she's a reference to Beatrix Potter, who wrote obviously Peter Rabbit, and obviously anthropomorphic animals which very much is the school that she teaches. And then, long story short, they basically hold a concert to save money to raise money to save the school, and there's guerrilla attacks, and it ends up to be Jimmy Brown, who basically was off working in a circus as a gorilla, and he's revealed to be him. So yeah, and really quick before I kind of get your opinions on it, fun fact, at the beginning when you kind of have all these pictures and stuff kind of getting you ready, it shows a circus, and that is his circus. He's there kind of juggling or something, and so there's so many hints in the beginning that when you go back you're like, oh my god, that's that and that's that. So what do we think about the crazy potatoes and molasses Jimmy Brown missing episode? What do we think about this very odd one?
I liked it. I don't know.
I liked it, yeah.
It's very weird.
It's not like that complicated, but I liked the angle of like, I don't know. Good TV makes you forget the rules of like storytelling, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So when they have this setup of like it's a school, and then the dad owns the school, and he's angry because all the kids are singing, so he takes their instruments away. I should have known, because I've seen at least one TV show before, that there's going to be a bit more to that, than he's just angry. Yeah. And yet it was still a really nice twist that he was like, what am I going to do? I've sold everything. He's literally just living in a bush, like outside the school. Sold everything to teach these animals how to read and write, and now I'm going to have to sell their instruments. Oh no. And I don't know. It was really nice. I thought it was really well made. I think that the good thing about these sorts of shows, should we call them like Renaissance Cartoon Network shows? I don't know. It definitely feels like we had like Cartoon Network, early Cartoon Network, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, this, that, and the other. Now we've got modern Cartoon Network, Adventure Time, regular show, Gumball, that kind of stuff, right? The best thing about all these shows is that they use surrealist visuals to tell traditionalist stories, and in doing so, make them feel fresh. I was a fan.
Big words.
Jacob's just here to look at anthropomorphic animals sing. He ain't here to think about it. But that one's quite a fun one. Episode 4 is Songs of the Dark Lantern, which again, there's a lot of good comedy in this and kind of subtle little like jibs and stuff. So like Song of the Dark Lantern is literally just an episode where they basically arrive at a tavern, and there's a ton of stereotypes, and it's like the tailor and his apprentice, and the apprentice is attached to a lead essentially, and like it's just all these funny things, and we kind of find out that the reason why the woodsman is chopping down all these trees is because he needs the oil for his lamp. And so they kind of are sent again on their way. It very much is, the formula is, they go somewhere, something happens, they move on. So like I said, I'm going to really keep it short and kind of like, this is what they do, that's where they go, that's where they go. There's an amazing bit in this, which I'll talk about later, to do with the Hangman song, which I'm sure you guys watched and you know what I'm on about possibly. But I'll talk about that a bit later, because that's a really interesting bit of animation fact, which I've got paired with something else. So I'll save that one. So keep listening if you want to hear about that. And the Beast is basically reminding the woodsman that your daughter is inside this lamp, and if you don't cut down trees and we don't get souls for these trees, your daughter will die. So instantly that's quite dark for a kid's thing already. Yeah. And then, episode 5, Mad Love, we basically get Quincy Endicott and his amazing mansion. And essentially...
John Cleese.
Yes, John Cleese. I was just going to say, could you tell? They essentially want to steal 2 cents from him to pay for the ferry, because they know he's like filthy, stinking rich. And he's kind of being like, oh, the house is haunted and all of this. So they're like, right, well, we'll try and find it as well as steal your money.
So good. You want to trick him out of his money? Well, I was thinking of just stealing it. It's a great line.
Greg is like, they're such a good pairing, because like Greg's just like, yeah, we're going to jump off a cliff. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, and I feel like that's such a lovely little pairing to have, like Greg's optimism and kind of just like, oh, why would this be bad? This is great. Oh, okay, this is really bad. I don't know what to do kind of attitude. He has some hilarious lines like, ain't that just the way when someone like leaves them? And he's just like, oh, well, it's just life. I wish I had his outlook on life. I'd be so much happier.
I can imagine you walking around with a kettle on your head. That's the problem.
I can't can't wait as well to talk to you guys a bit later about, the outfits in the end, and I'm sure we'll all be very opinionated about the ending. Trust you, wait. So we basically, long story short, learned that the house isn't haunted. It's two neighbours that are attached to each other, and they kind of are wandering in and out of each other's homes and kind of scaring each other. So again, a little bit scary, a little bit ghosty, but then all is nice in the end. Really quick fun fact for you as well. The woman who provided the voice of, what's her name? Margaret, the French woman, is, another name I really can't pronounce. It's like Bibi Nurewith. If you watch Frasier, the TV show, she played Frasier's wife in the TV show. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but that's another famous person in this.
No.
So again, they then go on their way, and we get another one of my absolute favourites, Lullaby in Frogland, which is where we get the title song, Over the Garden Wall. And they basically get on a ferry with tons of frogs. I know someone that we used to work with who would bloody love this episode. There's frogs everywhere, and it's great. And they're all wearing fancy little outfits, and they're on this ferry. And essentially, Jason Thunderburker, George Washington, Wart Jr., whatever you want to call this frog.
I love that, as soon as they get on it, he's just as big. He's just suddenly just as big as the rest of the frog.
Yeah, immediately.
And then
his legs are
he just for this one episode, he's as tall as him. And with the rest of it, he's just normal size again. And once he's among his own kind, he grows into some kind of big, huge, person frog. It's so cool.
It's quite terrifying. God, yeah, when you think about it, yeah, that frog would have been the same size as a human. That's actually kind of terrifying. But yes, so he has the voice of a bloody angel, doesn't he? He is played, so the narrator and also the person who provides the voice of Greg's frog is a guy called Jax Jones, who is a jazz singer. I didn't look too much into his kind of backstory, but he seems to be pretty good. And yeah, so they basically it's revealed that Adeline was actually going to use them as slaves because Beatrice had a pact with her basically, and she would give her special scissors to lift the family curse on her, and they kind of get away from all of that. But what did we think of the frog boat? What did we think?
I loved it.
Yeah. I'm glad that they added it in, so it's when they were on about the ferry and stuff, it could have been so just a normal ferry, but it's making it for a frog ferry. Just why the fuck not? You know
exactly.
What I mean?
And why do frogs need a ferry? They can swim.
Exactly. Why are they wearing clothes? Frog.
Where did they get them from? Is there frog tailors?
Exactly. But why is it 18th century clothes? That's the other question.
It's amazing.
Why not? But yeah, why not? Why is steam ferry?
Ferries
looks sick. That's why. I love it.
These industrialized frogs. It's incredible.
Oh my god. Another really quick fun fact about the episode as well is at the beginning, when we see all those pictures and stuff, there are two boys who wind up a toy ferry and send it down the river, and that is actually the ferry that the froggies are on, which is really cute. So like I say, go and watch even just the intro, and you'll be like, oh my god, that's this. It's really cool. So then we have episode 7, which I think is definitely one of the scariest, The Ringing of the Bell.
This was my favourite episode.
It's so good. It's so good. So they meet Lorna and Auntie Whispers, and you get this whole, are they good, are they not good? And, there's this really kind of little relationship and oh, you're really cute that comes on between him, Lorna and Wirt. And it's typical, just cute little teenage romancy thing going on. But then you find out she wants to eat your soul, and then what do you do, folks? So then you get this kind of complete...
Bitches be crazy,
Yeah. Complete 180. It's pretty mad, and it doesn't turn out that she's, being trapped against her will by this terrifying Auntie Whispers, who is voiced by Tim Curry as well. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about how... when I said those names to you, were you listening out for them? Or did you kind of be like, oh, I think that's so-and-so, or is it kind of oh my god, that's so-and-so?
Yes, at the start, not towards the end. I was just kind of into it by the end.
Yeah.
I could pick them out, as a thingy. I was like, oh shit, it's that person. I forgot that you'd said all the names. So, the woman who does, Beatrix is oh, it's her. And then, Tim Curry, and then John Cleese, I recognised him. He's
the
obviously
only
the
one I
guy.
recognised.
He's the thingy as well, isn't he? Though he plays. Is it Adelaide? That was the name.
Yeah,
Yes.
Plays her as well, and I was like, oh shit, it's him again.
really
I could
clever.
like pick them out, but there was other times where I was hearing hearing voices. I was like I recognised the voice, but when I looked who it wasn't anyone I knew.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's really
isn't
weird.
it?
There's like lots of like familiar voices throughout it, but then kind of like they just kind of sound like someone, but it still sounds cool.
With
I think I had
the anti-whispers thing, because obviously, so they reveal at the end of it that she is Adelaide's sister. And I know, look, I know there's no original ideas anymore. I know everything's inspired by something else, but this is the point where I got mad Spirited Away vibes.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
the
know.
one with like the huge head as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even
Yeah, the
down to the
design.
visual design. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean,
sorry, you carry on first.
I was gonna say I felt like you can proper tell throughout all of this where the inspirations are. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's the thing with the hangman and the woman who owns a tavern. I'm sure you'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
They've got very clear inspirations. The skeletons earlier on, the bit where in the second episode where the skeleton comes out the grave, I full on expected him to start singing fucking Spooky Scary Skeletons because it is 100% inspired by that. Like he does as he gets out, he does like a bit of the dance that they do in that cartoon as well, and like they use like the bones to play like the drums on themselves to make that kind of like. And I feel like you can proper tell where the influences are.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
an episode near the end as well, which is very clearly inspired by
You
it's
feel
really
like this
sick.
whole series is very much a love letter to classic animation, which, like you say, yeah, we'll definitely
Yeah.
have a discussion about. But yeah, with Anti-Whispers, really quickly, I think there's an old folklore character that he did actually base the design on. So I don't know whether, like you say, it just happens to be a freak accident. Like I say, the two women look very similar, or whether or not like he went, oh, I found this and that. Yeah, go on, let's do it. I don't really know the full story on that one. But yeah, episode 8 is Babes in the Wood. So basically, they roll down the road downstream, and they decide basically to have a nap because they're like, right, we don't know what we're doing. And then we get this really trippy episode where Greg has this dream, and it's really weird but really cool. Like he's basically transported back to the original 1920s cartoon style. And it's just, yeah, it's really weird. And you get amazing songs again, like The Old North Wind, which just is very reminiscent of like 1920s, kind of like the jazz era coming up from like New Orleans and like, and like I say, as someone who kind of loves history and all this era, like these eras, this literally, it does everything. It's I'm like butter on a melting on a pancake with this. It's just so good. And I think that's why it's done so well, and I'm sure you guys will agree, is because he's taken all these influences and all these things, and he's in some places that you probably could say he's completely copied, but it is more of a love letter to this style of animation.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, this one in particular, like the bit that gave me the biggest one was there's the sequence where Greg's fighting the Old North Wind and they go inside a cloud house. And you start getting like stars and stuff popping out the windows as the house is just
The house is moving up, yeah.
Greg leaves, and then this massive hand comes out and grabs him inside. Like, yeah. Like, and if it doesn't remind you of 1920s animation, it reminds you of Cuphead,
Oh,
which
I was
is
just about
reminding
to
you of
say that.
1920s
I was about to say
animation.
Cuphead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuphead's a really there's just something about that style, and I don't know if that again is drawn, and obviously not nostalgia directly for us. Excuse me. But this whole nostalgia and this love of that kind of period, I think it's amazing how influential and like how loved it really is. Like none of us have lived through that. I don't think many people who lived through that are possibly even alive today. That's over 100 years ago. We're in 2020 now. Like that's really weird to think that 100 years ago today they were only just kind of getting into animation. That's so weird.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Joe, you'll definitely know about this because obviously you're a Disney freak with me. But they took really big inspiration from Walt Disney's original Alice cartoons from the 20s, where they basically placed, for those of you who don't know who are listening, they basically filmed a live-action girl, and it was really kind of, like, influential and, like, what's it called, progressive for its time, where they basically filmed a live action girl and popped it straight into animation, and it's this, like I said, exact like you said, Sam, this style of really over the top and like crazy animation. Everything has a face, everything's alive. Like, so that episode's quite fun, but it ends pretty depressing because he's having a conversation with the Queen, and she's like, "Oh well, you know, Wert's been, you know, he's going to be, he's been taken by the Beast," and Greg's like, No, he won't. I'll take his place. And he walks off basically with the Beast, and it's all a bit of like, oh, Jesus Christ! Like, it's the moment in the narrative and everything where everything comes back down, and you're like, oh no, everything's going shit. What did we think of kind of leading up to this? Do you feel like you're kind of ready for shit to hit the fan? Like, what were our thoughts? Like, how did we think it was going to end compared to what we got?
I was confused when this ended, at the end of episode 8, because I was like, this is like the second to last episode. Well, it feels like it, but there's still 2 other episodes left. Mm-hmm. It's like, what the fuck's going on? I was really, like, it felt like, because it was really the one that I watched as well. It kind of, I don't know, it felt kind of like the last 2 episodes were like one big episode rather than kind of, and then this was the kind of the last cliffhanger before the end of it.
Maybe an explanation for that is when they aired on Cartoon Network, they aired them in 2 chapter blocks, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, as soon as
that'll be why. So they would have written it knowing that's how it's gonna.
Well, because I mean, when the end of episode 8 happened, I was like, right, that's very clearly meant to be like the cliffhanger before the end. But there's 2 other episodes left. Like, what the fuck? So I actually like Googled it, and I saw that they were aired kind of like next to each other. So that okay, well that makes kind of sense. It's strange that it kind of does then obviously with episode 9, it's not the ending technically. It's more of a flashback, obviously.
So episode 9, when I first watched this, and I'm sure some of you will agree, I don't know if I thought this was lazy or whether I was just like, this seems like a really cop-out ending. Like I say, it's not necessarily the ending. But when we're back to modern day, and it's all about how they're in Halloween costumes, and you find out that the reason why Greg's got a teapot on his head is because he's an elephant, not because it's whimsical and fun, and, you know, it's not because Wirt dresses like a gnome in his spare time, it's because it's a Halloween costume. And I was a bit like, oh, okay, what's happening here? And then you find out that obviously he really likes this girl called Sarah. And don't get me wrong, I love the way that they've portrayed the modern day where they're not the cool kids. No, it implies that he's the geeky one and no one likes me. And, you know, they're like, there's cheerleaders, but it's not them. And then Jason Thunderburger is a jock. But it's not. They're actually normal people. And he is really kind of beating himself up. So I don't mind the way they've done it. But at the same time, I just, when I watched it, I was like, oh, so it's essentially and then they woke up ending. Where, you know, like they get chased by the police and then they end up falling into the lake. And then it ends with Wirt waking up and he's back with Beatrice's family, and I was a bit like that's where he's almost like he's had a flashback in his dream or whatever it is. But to me, I was just like, oh, I kind of wanted this to be a place and not just this whole idea of did it exist, does it exist? Like
I kind of thought that like when he fell into that river, I was like, oh my god, are they like dead? Is this like their like afterlife? That's
like
so
a limbo.
dark for a cartoon. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. That this whole thing was like kind of like
maybe it is
like a Dante's Inferno thing where like they're being maybe not guided through hell, but like they're just walking through to fucking heaven or something. I was like, oh my god.
There's a lot of people who have compared Dante's Inferno to this, so I wouldn't be surprised.
It felt very kind of afterlife journey. When he fell into the river, I was like, whoa, shit, okay, are they dead? And then obviously, you know, but it felt really weird.
Yeah, I think this was the point where I'd say that it was a mistake to do it like this. I don't think the idea itself is bad. I think the execution is what's let it down. I think one of the things is too much of a focus on elements that didn't necessarily matter. Telling us about that tape, really showing us who Sarah was, for example. You know, just I don't know, like that's what this episode is kind of there to do, to make those aspects of the ending work. But like, I don't mind the idea that it's set in the modern day really, and this is some place that exists over here, or maybe it's a dream, or maybe it's an afterlife. What I would have liked is a bit more ambiguity rather than straight up saying, there's the real world, there's this place here. It doesn't matter where it actually exists. It's there. That's where the story is, and then we got to get back to the normal. I don't know. It seems a bit weak.
The thing for about it being modern day, I read the first half of the series, because my favorite episode is episode 2 as well, but because I get like proper like the witch vibes from it, from the whole kind of like. I like the idea of it, the whole thing. Like, I thought right up until maybe the ferry episode that this was set like in like colonial times or the years following colonial times. And then even with the ferry, like it kind of you got like your mixed mash of fashion and stuff. But like there was a bit in it where someone said, I can't remember who, I think Greg says or something, that they're looking in a house and they said they're looking for a phone.
Yeah, I picked up on that, yeah.
And I was like, did I just hear him say he's looking for a phone? It's like, nah, I don't think it is. Because
that's
obviously
the kind of ambiguity
times.
I would have liked to have seen more of. Casual references to modern day stuff without explicitly seeing it.
That place them there when they shouldn't be, but we're not told that they shouldn't be there. Like, do you know? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, have us more question. Oh my gosh, is this all fake? Are they dreaming this? And instead of just being like, yeah, they did. Like, so like you say, like, it's a bit annoying.
The bit at the end of Thingy, which episode is it? It's the episode... Oh no, what is it? I think it's the episode just before, it might be the end of episode 8, when he falls into the river. He falls to the ice, doesn't he, into the river. And then, like, Beatrice and that fish save him. For a good, maybe until it reveals that it's Beatrice, I thought that maybe it's like his parents or something, and that the way the last 2 episodes were going to go was that they were going to save him. They were going to take him to some fucking colonial village or something. It's going to be like, oh, da-da-da-da. And then they were going to be like, they were going to kind of have a discussion like, oh, Thingy's still missing. They're like, oh, what do we do? It's really snowy now. And then he was going to go off on his own in the last episode. That's kind of how I thought it was going to... kind of the direction it was going to go. I mean... Yeah, I don't know. But then it was Beatrice and I was like, oh, right, okay. Great. Good stuff.
Stupid bird.
Okay. Bird back.
See, I think I'm the total opposite of you guys. I really like the fact that they would just sort of fell over the wall from like modern day and end up
it's good, like...
weird...
Oh my god,
I really liked it.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
I've grown to like it the more I watch it, because like you say, it's quite fun and it's quite. But when I first watched it, I was kind of in full full autumn, full anthropomorphic animal mode, and I was like, no, I don't like it. This is shit. And but like you say, I 100% see why you would do enjoy it, because it's quite a nice little. I don't know. Yeah, it is nice. I do agree with you there.
It felt like that was the twist. Like, rather than it just being, oh, it's another cartoon set when it's set, it was actually, these real boys have both fallen into this strange realm, rather than here's just another story set in a strange place. Actually, it exists alongside the modern day. I like that.
Well, this is the thing so I like that too. I just wish they hadn't have been so on the nose about it. That's my complaint. Creatively, I think they took the lazy option. Of just,
like if it was more...
Yeah, just like one day just saying, oh, these are the explicit events that happened. Instead of that, more references to... We have a reference to a phone early on. Maybe reference a car like in another episode or something like this. Just like as a bit of dialogue. Little references to... And like having... I don't know, like... I like the aspect of these weird clothes are Halloween costumes. I think that's also cute. I think there was more creative ways to... tell us this rather than just one episode. Feels completely out of place. Just like one episode to say explicitly, this is what's going on. I don't know. So I like the idea. I just think it was.
Yeah, I think this could have ended in multiple different ways. I think, like you say, and it's really interesting to get you guys' opinion on it. And yeah, episode 10, I've really, really briefly put down. Greg, basically, it's quite scary. Greg's basically starting to turn into one of these trees. The woodsman realizes that all these trees he's been chopping down are lost souls, which is, again, quite dark for a kid's thing. And yeah, there's a lot of kind of back and forth, and Wirt basically realizes that this light inside of this lamp isn't actually the soul of the daughter or anything. It's actually the beast, or so we think it is. It's implied that it's the beast. And you get there's actually maybe like one frame of light on the beast where you actually see what he looks like, and he's terrifying.
Really good.
Like
yeah.
trypophobia. Like, guys, don't go and have a look. It's like all these souls and trees. It's pretty creepy. It's really, really creepy. But again, I feel like it needs that. It needs to be pretty creepy, this does. Otherwise, if it's too kind of cutesy, I think it won't work.
I love the beast's voice as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Woodsman. It's so deep and bassy.
He's an operatic singer, the guy that does I've written it down at the top. Samuel Raimi, which
just Sam Raimi.
I had to Google it because I was like... he's an operatic bass. He's like, he did opera, and so he did the voice for it. I don't know if he sings at any point. I'll have to look on the album.
I mean, he does the thing. He does the beast does that like opera singing in the distance, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Leads the Woodsman.
That's how you know. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
So yeah, and then basically everything works out. You know, the Woodsman goes home to find that his daughter's been there the whole time, which is a little bit sad and kind of like, oh. You see Beatrice is with her family, and ironically, the book that she is reading is called The Tomb of the Unknown, which is quite a nice little nod. Yeah, everything kind of just goes back to normal, and you know, Greg and were back in normal day, and obviously Sarah is like, oh, I don't have a tape player, but like, can we listen to it on yours? And it's all really cute. And I hate them. Mondo really did a really big release for this, and they actually released the cassette tape. So it was a same cassette tape, same colours, and it basically had all of so it had the poetry, it had the songs he recorded. It wasn't like the album, it wasn't the Over the Garden Wall album, it was genuinely the tape. And I'm so annoyed that I couldn't get hold of that because like, I bet it's ridiculous. And yeah, so that is Over the Garden Wall. So before I kind of do any I've got literally like a couple, like maybe 3, just little kind of like, oh, did you know? What did we think about it? What were our thoughts on this? I'm going to put this light on as well because it's getting dark. Hello.
Yeah, I liked it, yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, without like accidentally doing the last section of the show. Yeah, overall, I was a big fan of this. But it's like a lot of things that I already like. I don't know, like Over the Garden Wall exists in this like sphere now of, I mean, you said their names: Alex Kurtz, Pendleton Wood, Justin Roiland. All these guys are creating shows that are all very similar, but they're all really good, and I'm happy to have them all. And I don't know. Yeah, it's good.
It's good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So little references then before we kind of carry on, which are just really interesting. So Adelaide scissors, so the ones that Beatrice wants to get hold of that look like a bird, that is actually a style of embroidery scissors, so that is actually something you can actually go out and buy. And like I said, the Hangman song, so this it's an amazing song to begin with. It's like, if you listen to the lyrics, it's ridiculous, it's great. That basically, if you watched it, you might have been like, whoa, this looks really weird and slightly off. That's because it's mimicking a technique used back in the 1920s, which is actually an early form of rotoscoping. Anyone who's kind of done a bit of VFX will understand that. It's basically where you cut out around a person in short term. And what they used to do back in the day is they would film someone. So the first kind of use of this is there's a Betty Boop cartoon, which again, it's online. If you just type it in, you'll find it, where they mimicked Cab Calloway's style of dancing, who was a really famous jazz musician. There's a cat, and I'm very jealous.
They did it in a few of them, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
didn't they
quite
do
a lot.
In a few of them, yeah, like the Betty Boop cat.
Yeah, and it's this kind of weird realism, but it's a cartoon. It's really weird to watch. So if you have a
it's really
minute,
kind of
have
creepy,
a look.
to be honest. When you
It's
look at
really
it.
creepy.
Yeah.
And so the Hangman kind of replicates that same style, and then you've also got the tavern maid who looks like Betty Boop. So that whole scene is very much a callback to the 1920s.
She probably sings like her as well and talks like her.
It's great, isn't it? So yeah, then we've said about Greg's dream and that. So the dog that was actually so the one at the beginning that they thought was the beast. Again, if you scroll all the way back to the beginning and look at that opening sequence, Beatrice is actually sat there in her human form, wearing like a Regency style with a dog. That dog is actually the dog that they thought was the beast that they freed at the beginning.
Oh man!
And in that little intro where she sat with the dog, she looks to the side, throws a stone, and birds fly off. that's how she got cursed, because she threw a stone at a bird, and like she says that at some point in the actual show, but like you can see that kind of happening, which is quite interesting.
I love at the end of the show, because it's Wirt meets Beatrice's family.
Yeah.
And they feed him dirt, have another spoon of dirt.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, when they're all humans, they're like, Beatrice, come get your dirt. Like, it's really good.
It is really good, isn't it? And then last but not least, obviously Pottersfield is the name of, or Pottsfield is the name of the pumpkin town, but a Potter's Field is actually a place where poor people were buried back in the day. So, you know, like, I don't know if it was a type of mass grave, but, you know, where the poor people would be buried was called the Potter's Field. So, Pottsfield. There you go. A little bit of. They've really done their research basically on this, and I'm all for it. So yeah, that was Over the Garden Wall for your spooky Halloween special delight.
Nice. So what we normally do is go around in a circle, giving any individual thoughts on the movie, and giving an overall score out of 10. Do we wanna do that with Over the Garden Wall?
Can I just say, we did it with the Halloween, the Christmas special for Star Wars. Does that count as a movie? That was TV.
It wasn't a series though, was it?
We still say rank it, and we can see where it ranks.
Yeah, where we
okay, yeah.
Whether
and
you count it as official.
And if it's around, if it's over something really comical, then we'll keep it in. That's what we'll do. We'll canonize it if it's silly.
No matter what.
Amelia, kick us off.
Okay, so you already know what I'm going to give this. This is something that I try my hardest to save till around September, October time. Because even if you just watch the first couple of episodes, or you put on the ambient loop that Cartoon Network uploaded for our delight, which is great, you know, you can't fault it. It's autumnal perfectness. It's got everything that I kind of love about that kind of time period, like, and that's why it stresses me out when people say, oh, I can't believe you like Halloween. Well, no, I don't like Halloween. I love the season of autumn. Halloween just comes as a bonus. There's a lot to love about this season, and I feel like if you want to love it, watch this. It's pretty damn good. So for me personally, I'm gonna have to give this 10 pumpkins.
Damn. Jacob.
So when we were doing our Ghibli films, I didn't get them. Spirited Away specifically, I just didn't get it. And I'm not sure if it kind of shows that, for me, my interest sort of peaked when it came into modern day, like right at the end, and they were doing their final conclusion. That's when I was, because a lot of it, I kind of had it on in the background. I was right, I'll put this on, and I just sort of watch it. But yeah, I actually found myself sitting down and paying more attention to it as it was concluding towards the end. Whether that's just kind of demonstrates my taste in
everyone has their
sorts of animations, probably. But I can't really fault it. It was good, especially for this time of year. It fits in really well. So good timing choice, I guess.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, although it isn't for me. I'm going to give it a 7.
Nice.
I understand this is very much like you got to be into it.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I mean, like it's like I said before, I was really kind of into it when I thought that it was set like in the kind of colonial, kind of the witch thing, because I really love that kind of like 1600s kind of colonial weird, like Sleepy Hollow or The Witch.
They do a bit of the dialogue quirks is similar sometimes, the way they talk.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why I think the modern day thing annoyed me so much, because I was like, no, but they talk like old times as well.
Yeah, it's like,
ain't that just the way?
Like, even with the thingy, even with the modern day bit, it kind of felt like they've designed it based on kind of like towns like Salem, but in modern day. You know, like kind of like Massachusetts kind of towns, even now. Because, I mean, it could potentially, I mean, she said she didn't have a tape player, but it says modern day. It didn't really feel like modern day. It kind of felt more like the early 2000s with like the car and tapes and stuff. And so it kind of already had like a classic kind, not classic, but like the whole thing kind of I don't know. It kind of the whole thing felt very Massachusetts kind of Halloween-y thing. So which I liked. I liked that whole kind of thing. So, and plus I really love all the old like animation stuff that they've used, and like all the different kinds of animations they've like implemented and where they've got their inspirations from and stuff. I really love that. So I'm gonna give it like a 9. It's like
nice,
it's pretty sick.
I'd probably echo most of what y'all have said. It's excellent. I like anything that wears its inspirations on its sleeve and wants to endeavor to do a little bit something more with them. Like, I got Spirited Away vibes from two sisters. One of them's got a big head. Well, they both have big heads in Spirited Away. But like, you know, it wasn't. It was using those things in a new context and a new theme and a new genre. It was all interesting. Every single thing it homaged, it didn't feel like a rip off. It felt like taking something existing, doing something new with it. The animation was gorgeous. The writing was really tight. I don't think that twist was written quite the right way, but there was also things within that I really liked. There was a line in it that really cracked me up where Sarah's at the party. She's like, "Do you want to come to the cemetery with us?" And he's like, "What are you going to do at the cemetery?" And she says, "We're going to go and drink age-appropriate drinks and not do anything illegal."
And he's like juice?
It really felt like just a nudge and a wink. Like, Cartoon Network will not let us do this, but you know what we're doing. I really liked this, actually. It's something I've been meaning to watch for a long time now, and it's not disappointed. And I think just for that one little hiccup towards the end, and it is only minor, I'm going to dock it a point, but I'm only going to dock it a point, and I'm going to give it a 9 as well, which gives us an overall score of...
Can't be too bad.
Holy shit.
For once my film gets high.
Of 87.5 out of 100. And if we put it on the list, fuck it, let's put it on the list. It's a movie now. You hear that? It's a movie now. We don't even have to answer. We don't even have to ask any questions like we normally do.
Okay.
It sits straight in the number 5 spot. The
Holy
fifth.
shit! Sorry,
Over the Garden Wall, the show is the 5th greatest movie of all time. Take that, cinema.
TV's doing better.
Which places it between American Animals and maybe, ironically, Hamilton. You know, which we also sort of couldn't fully decide on whether or not it classified as a movie. So, that brings us to the most important part of the show, and that's finding out what we're going to be watching next time. Jacob, let us know.
Yeah, okay. So, this movie is definitely a movie. For sure. It's leaning definitely towards Halloween more than just autumn. It's available on 2 streaming services, Netflix and Amazon Prime, so you should be able to find a way to watch it. If not, there are other ways, I'm sure. And I'm sure on Netflix they classify it as a comedy. Yeah. So for next week, we're going to be watching Cabin in the Woods.
Oh man, good film. That is a comedy, yeah.
Apparently.
That's a comedy. Oh, it's a good film, that, you know. So good. Such a good film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon it's a comedy, though, yeah. I laughed at that a few times.
I'd say so.
I have not seen even a second of it.
I've seen parts, I think. And I can see why they think it's a comedy.
This movie will make you go, Chris Hemsworth is in this?
Yeah.
What? Thor? What? Because he is.
Yeah,
So
it's a good film. It's a really good film. I enjoyed it.
Fair,
You go into it expecting it to be some just general shitty horror thing. Oh man, but it's not. It's good.
Okay.
It's really good.
Okay, exciting. Cool. So, thanks very much for watching this Halloween special spooky outtakes. What's an O? What's an O? Spooky. Octopus outtakes. Special.
Look, with October.
I was so close as well. That's unbelievable. October Outtakes Halloween Special. Let us know what you think of the show in the comments down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe if you've been watching us on YouTube. And you can also hit that follow button or subscribe button or whatever it is on your favorite podcasting apps if you've been listening to us on the go. And if you want to find us on either or platform, just search for the Outtakes Movie Podcast. We'll be right there. You can send us anything you like via an email at the outtakesmoviepod@gmail.com, and check us out on social media at Twitter and the Instagram at The Real Outtakes.
All these options.
Yes. Too many scary amount of options. So spooky. Ooh. Like walking into a retail place with too much to buy. Spooky. Woo. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.